I'm Dr. Leif Smith, and today I want to talk about the three biggest obstacles that I see, in my opinion, that get in the way of you being happy. Obstacle number one that gets in the way of your happiness is not managing your inner heckler. What do I mean by that? Well, we all have an inner heckler. We all have that negative voice in our head that tells us we're not good enough, we will never be good enough, we never were good enough, yada, yada, yada. The default negative voice, that negative voice in our head is the default. In other words, it comes at birth as part of our programming to be negative, to predict things as being painful. Why? Because it kept us safe when we were cave people. It kept us safe. It kept us away from strangers who might kill us. It kept us away from monsters and animals that might eat us. It kept us away from heights where we might fall and die and not procreate and spread our genes. So, that negative voice in your head, that heckler, is the default. It's the default programming that comes at birth. Therefore, you need to understand that, and you need to understand that it takes a lot of work to manage that heckler. You need to work to be positive. You need to work to combat that little voice in your head that's going to consistently tell you you are not good enough. Another thing about this heckler is the more successful you are, the louder that heckler gets. This is the basis of another video I did called the imposter syndrome. You can see that one here. But what I'm talking about is every time something good happens, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction from that heckler. You do something good and the heckler's going to say, yeah, but you got lucky. You're a fraud. Just wait till they find out how incompetent you really are. Okay? That's what the voice is going to say because it is a heckler. Hecklers are irrational. And they say what they want to say without regard for consequences. That voice in your head, that negative heckler, needs to be managed if you're gonna be happy. The second biggest obstacle that gets in the way of you being happy is when you externalize what happiness is. By that I mean, when I talk about externalizing, what I'm saying is when you believe that something outside of yourself has to happen in order for you to be happy, you are setting yourself up to be miserable. You're setting yourself up to be sad, anxious, and depressed. When you have strings attached, in other words, things suck. Who likes to be in a relationship with 100 different rules? You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. You don't want to be in a relationship like that with someone. Well, why would you make your happiness dependent upon this happening and that happening and this happening and that happening, right? If you can only be happy if everything's perfect, if everything's going your way, if people all like you, if nobody ever doesn't laugh at your jokes, if yada yada. If you have all these conditions that need to be met for you to be happy, odds are you're not going to be happy. Happiness comes from within. Happiness comes from not having conditions upon your life. Happiness comes from being. We are human beings. We're not a human doing. Nothing needs to happen for you to say, hey, I'm happy about what's going on in my life. I'm happy that I'm alive. I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I have an opportunity today to do what I'm doing. So, what I recommend for you is get the scissors out and cut the strings that are attached to your happiness. Cut that cord. When something has to happen for you to be happy, you're setting yourself up for danger. The third and final biggest obstacle to you being happy is having no purpose. When you don't have purpose, when you don't have a sense of purpose, when you don't have a, as the French call, a raison d'être, when you don't have a reason for being, life is hard. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning when you don't know why you get out of bed. What is the reason? So you need a reason for being. You need a purpose. You need something bigger than yourself to pull you along. This is how we are wired as social human beings. We are wired to want to be with each other, to want to help each other. We are actually wired that way, to want to help someone else succeed in life. When we connect with that, as I've done in my career, this is the whole reason I do what I do. It's the whole reason behind me making these videos. I want to help you. I want to help you be successful. That is part of my purpose professionally, is to help other people get past their past. When your goal is to help people, then you can start setting these smaller goals along the way. Well, if I'm going to help people, for instance, I need to get an education. This is why I went to undergrad. And then from there, I needed to go to grad school. And from there, I needed to do a fellowship. And from there, I needed to set up a private practice. Do you see how all those goals naturally came from the overarching purpose for me, which was to help people do better in their lives? You need a purpose too. So if you don't have one right now, I suggest you look inward. Maybe do some journaling, do some inner work, so you can find a reason that's bigger than yourself. When I was 20 years old, I found myself feeling sorry for myself. And it's a bad habit to get into. And to this day, I hate it when I do that. I only give myself 24 hours to wallow in self-pity these days. It's such a bad habit. Well, I was wallowing when I was 20 years old. And one of the ways I got myself out of my pity party was I decided to get a job taking care of someone else. So I found a job taking care of an individual who had cerebral palsy. And so he needed help 4 times a day, getting up, showering, taking his medicine, feeding him. 4 times a day, I had to do that. I had no car, I had no money, I was a college student, and I thought, you know what, this is a job that's bigger than me. This guy needs help. Who am I to feel sorry for myself when I can get out of bed in the morning easily? I needed to help this individual get out of bed. To this day, he's still a friend of mine, by the way. He's still a good friend of mine because we connected. I did that job for 5 years, 4 times a day, every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime. I was there to help him. And I wasn't perfect doing this, but the big part of that job that I got out of it, besides helping another individual, was purpose. Life is bigger than just us. When we realize that, it's a lot easier to keep going. I hope you can find your purpose too. If not, send me a line and maybe I can help you. I'm Dr. Leif Smith. Thank you for watching this video today, the 3 biggest obstacles to happiness, and please hit the like button, and I will see you in the next video.